And my name is Ken Mejia-Beal. Some of you have heard me co-host with Patty Vasquez or Scott Duff on the Sunday show. But today it is all me, all progressive, and very live, very local. Thank you for tuning in today here at Heartland Signal and WCPT 820 AM. We have a great show set out for you today. We have some wonderful guests, and we're going to talk about a lot of the topics in the news today and a lot of the topics that will be in the news tomorrow. But first, a little bit about myself. Ken Mejia-Beal. I am a Chicago resident. I am the treasurer for an organization called Youth Outlook. You can find us at youth-outlook.org, where we protect the rights of LGBTQ youth. I'm also the chair of the Victory Fund's Midwest Campaign division. And what we do is we ensure that LGBTQ candidates are elected across our country. And the reason I mention all of this is because my number one goal, number two goal, and number three goal is to make sure that our politics, our elected officials, and more importantly, our values are all of ours, which is why I want to just kind of jump right in head first to talk about I'm going to start off on a little bit of a bad note, the landmark voting rights case, which is just another pattern of all of our rights not being considered. And for those who don't know, the Supreme Court on Wednesday tossed out Louisiana's long contested congressional map as an unconstitutional gerrymander and decision that could have implications for this year's midterm elections amid a national tug of war over which party can eke out the most political advantage. And I know that we all have seen a lot of the events in Virginia and in Texas, but what this ruling, the impact that this ruling has, is this decision will make it far harder for plaintiffs to challenge future maps for racial discrimination, undermining the very key understanding of the Voter Rights Act. And a little bit about my background that I will share with you is I am the grandson of a freedom writer who rode and fought for civil rights in states like Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia during the civil rights movement, which has never really ended, but that's another story for another day. This ruling is diametrically evil, in my opinion, because what it does, in fact, is it takes the racial makeup of a map and throws it away. This allows, in theory, elected officials to pick their voters versus the voters picking their elected officials. So this is a very, very important topic that I cannot wait to discuss with one of our guests, Qasim Rashid. He will be on. He is one of my best friends in the world, but he's also someone that keeps his ear to the ground and has a great brain for breaking this down and can discuss the impact that we're going to see, not just in these midterm elections, but the impact we're going to see moving forward. And I think that is where we have to collectively start looking. When we talk about these stories, when we talk about Trump, when we talk about elected officials, when we talk about gerrymandering, political machines, et cetera, we cannot just look at what is happening today. We have to look at the impact that this will have over generation and generation and generation. And one of the stories that I learned in college I love sharing is during the time of King Henry VIII, Parliament only met when the king needed them to. And over time, King Henry VIII got a little lazy and started having them meet more and more and more often, till eventually Parliament grew power. And then what you ended up seeing was more of a constitutional monarchy in England that started with just one person making one lazy decision repeatedly. That is the impact of change that can occur when we are not paying attention. Unfortunately, though, that was a very positive change because as King Charles III stated this week, checks and balances are very important. For those of you who did not know, King Charles III and his wife Camilla, I think she is Queen Camilla or Princess Camilla. I'm not too refreshed on the royal family at this time, but they are here. They met with President Trump, and they also visited New York. And one of the things that King Charles III spoke about in his visit was the importance of checks and balances. And of course, everyone clapped. But the sad thing is, I think this is lost on a lot of our right-leaning friends, quotes, on the other side, because that was a direct assault on exactly what they are trying to do in this country, which is demolish our checks and balances and bend to the will of a authoritarian and someone who would like to be a dictator. But just to tie all that together, King Charles III in New York currently. Another story that I wanted to talk to you about. The Supreme Court has also signaled that it will side with Trump to end temporary protected status for Haitian and Syrian migrants. This is also not good news. It has not become official yet, but they are signaling that they will side. Something else that the Supreme Court is signaling is that, well, it's not a signal. They're letting faith-based pregnancy centers fight subpoena on First Amendment grounds. What does this mean? I will tell you, because there's one of these places near my home. There are clinics that are not honest in what they are advertising, and they disparately impact lower income women, black and brown women. They go in, they think that abortion will be an option. And what these clinics do, sometimes in the open, sometimes very, very, very discreetly, is they keep pushing these women back until they run out of time. And that is where this issue is coming into play. I just want you to imagine you walk into a restaurant called Johnny Shrimps, and the logo is a giant shrimp, and you pull in and you think, wow, this must be a great place for a seafood meal. And you say that, and they sit you down at the table, and you look at the menu, and it's all beef. And you say, hey, where's the seafood? And they go, we'll be right back. We have a seafood menu coming for you. Would you like something to drink? You get your drink. You don't find the waiter. And then maybe an hour later, because you really want the seafood dinner, they come back and they say, are you ready? And they said, yeah, you never brought us the menu. We'll be right back. And this keeps happening until you are at a point where all the rest of the restaurants are closed. And now these are your options. You are going to eat the T-bone steak, or you are going to go to bed hungry. And that is, to break it down simplistically, what these clinics, and I'm using bunny ears, these clinics are doing to women, especially disenfranchised women, lower income earning women, black and brown women. They are pushing against the line. And that becomes very important in states where the line is already 12 weeks or 6 weeks. It becomes very detrimental. And these same people, surprise, surprise, don't want to chip in for childcare. That's another problem. And speaking of chipping in, another fun story. Former FBI Director James Comey has surrendered and appears in court over alleged threat against Trump. I'm sure some of you saw it. I saw it. It was not a perceived threat to me. And it was not a perceived threat to anyone that has worked in the restaurant industry, because the term 286 simply means to run out of. It is something that anyone has worked in the fast food industry, restaurant industry, knows. It's not a threat. It just means something is out. And what I would love to do is, as I talk about running out, I would like to kind of run out of words here and start talking to you here right after our break. So stay tuned, and I will be right here when you get back.
Spring is here and summer heat is right around the corner. Is your home ready to stay cool and energy efficient? At Green Attic, they help Chicagoland homeowners prepare their homes for rising temperatures. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted expert in attic insulation, blow-in cellulose, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation. When the sun heats up your attic, that trapped heat can force your air conditioner to work overtime. Proper insulation and ventilation helps keep your home cooler and lowers your energy bills. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including asphalt shingles, flat roofs, Da Vinci, Brava, Cedar, Tesla solar roof, and solar panels options, all backed by the industry's 10-year labor warranty. Spring is the perfect time to fix insulation problems and aging roofs before the summer heat and storm season arrive. Schedule your free insulation consultation today at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing estimate at greenatticroofing.com. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
Are you excited about being a new grandmother?
Of course I am. A little intimidated, too.
Why?
Taking care of a baby today is so different than when I had you.
But, Mom, you did great with me.
Thanks, son. But I put you on your stomach to sleep.
Right. But now we know that babies should always be placed on their backs to sleep for naps and at night to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
You also slept with blankets and toys in your crib.
True. But now we know to keep everything out of the crib except for my sweet baby girl. No blankets, pillows, or other soft or loose items.
Daddy's going to teach Nana all the ways to keep you safe while you sleep. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
For more tips on safe sleep for babies, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. That's safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT 820.
You are live, local, with progressive Ken Mejia-Beal today. Tomorrow at this time, Jill Winebanks will be in for Joan, and her guests are retired Army Major General Randy Manner, who will also be in studio, former acting vice chair of the National Guard Bureau and member of the National Security Leaders of America, Melissa Murray, professor at New York University's School of Law, co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast, and author of the forthcoming book, The U.S. Constitution, a comprehensive and a noted guide for the modern reader. Guys, I can read. And Jim Robinott, author, presidential historian, lawyer, and regular contributor to Vanity Fair, The Washington Post, and Politico. Ricky Hendon will be in for Joan on Friday. Joan returns Monday, May 4th. And Heartland Signal has a new free newsletter every week. Heartland Signal's head of research, Aaron Kleinman, delivers Radio Free America, highlighting stories that matter in state politics but aren't getting enough attention. Subscribe today at heartlandsignal.com/newsletters. And as I mentioned right before the break, I want to talk to you. And I have a few folks on the line that we are going to begin talking to right now. Our first caller is on line one. Hello, line one. What is your name?
Oh, hi, Ken. How are you?
Hey, Jim. How's it going, Jim?
How you doing? Good to hear your voice.
Thanks,
I was going to say, yeah, Hegseth has got to be treated like a belligerent today. I'd just like to see him ask, the 200 people murdered in the Caribbean without due process is the strangest thing that I could recall in my short history on Earth. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, Clarence Thomas had a speech in Texas where he said there is no room for progressives in the Declaration of Independence.
He said that, yes.
Now, apparently, he doesn't know that the Democratic Party has been around since about 1820.
Correct.
So he wants to outlaw Democrats. I imagine they don't have any play. Well, either do Republicans, for that matter, or the Whigs or the Know Nothing Party or any other party that was invented in the United States. But my point is yes. That but Trump is going to get 2 more picks. That is the unique thing in history that. because two of these guys are going to retire, probably Alito and this guy.
Yes.
So he'll put two teenagers on the Supreme Court, and we'll be stuck with them for a century.
It is very scary, Jim. And can I add something to something you mentioned? When we talk about Clarence Thomas and his attack on progressive policies, it is very important to note that Clarence Thomas himself has benefited from progressive policies because before, I believe, the 1960-something ruling, he would not have been allowed to marry his white wife, as he is African American. So it's very important to call out that hypocrisy whenever we can, Jim.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, the point is that he's and Alito, his wife, didn't that particular judge's wife, I think, was involved in the insurrection.
Yes, she was.
Actually hired some buses. And the other character, Alito, had the flag upside down.
Yes.
I mean, these people are they adore this Trump, and the thing that bothers me, once he gets these two picks, he'll not only have a ballroom, but he'll probably name a state after him. I don't know which state, but you pick it, Ken. And good to hear your voice, buddy. Thank
always
you.
a pleasure, Jim. I'll talk to you later.
Care.
You
Take
too.
Care.
Bye, Jim. Okay, our next caller. Hello, what is your name?
Dave.
Dave, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Long time, Ken. Long time.
It feels like about at least a couple of months, right?
Oh, a few more.
Okay.
Anywho, but talking on that, it was okay though when they had that 86-46 shirts and stuff like that during Biden's term.
Yes.
And I heard the next one on their hit list is going to be Governor Gretchen Whitmer, because when she did this interview from her office, there was these four little blocks and it said 86-45 in her office. So these whiny snowflakes, they want to go after her next. But
and hasn't she been through enough already? They've already they threatened. Well, they pretty much had a whole thing to kidnap her.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible.
And I think they're running free now. Thank you.
Unfortunately.
I've been reading where nothing really been mentioned on this stuff is about these, and that's the Strait of Hormuz, and that and they got these seafarers. These guys are tired and worried, and they've been stranded in that Persian Gulf for weeks, and that they said there's about 20,000 of these seafarers who are stranded in the Gulf. Dozens of ships have come under attack since the war started, and the UN says at least 10 seafarers were killed. And for crew changing, it's kind of difficult. It says some were still happening, but in limited numbers. And it's like, who wants to go on a ship? This one ship company said inbound crew has the right to refuse, and they're respecting that. And most of those stranded seafarers have been in the Gulf since that war began. And if you've seen, I think it was yesterday morning.
Yes.
On Morning Joe, they were talking about ripping, that east wing getting, torn down, and that one senior, I can't think of his name right now, but he's usually always on Morning Joe. He's like from the Boston area, and he said, I just can't believe it. That how could he do this with no permits and all of this stuff? He said, my God, you want to do a little work in your yard, you got to get permits and that. And this other reporter, Jonathan Martin, who happened to be on that day, he said, well, because he can. And then it's kind of like in Chicago here. Remember when former Mayor Richie Daley had the runway on Meigs ripped up overnight?
I remember it only because Harrison Ford, I've never seen Harrison Ford more angry in my entire life. I will never forget that rant, and I'll never forget it. But no, it is incredible. I was in D.C. and I was watching kind of the demolition from the top of it. It was very surreal, because never in my imagination I didn't fathom that anybody could just decide, well, I'm just going to destroy this beautiful monument of America and build whatever I want. It's alarming, but we're going to hang in there. Thank you so much for calling today.
Okay, good talking to you, Ken.
You too.
Be well.
You too. Okay, our next caller. Hello, what is your name?
Hi, this is Steve in Chicago.
Steve, how's it going?
Good. I just wanted to chime in on the 8647 thing.
Yes.
In addition to it meaning we're out of something, it's also a phrase was used, get rid of. If you watch old movies, you would often see like a bartender or a boss say, hey, that guy's drunk, that guy's hitting on the women, does about 86 of them. And just meant get him out, throw him out.
Got him.
And just a reminder, too, as ridiculous as it is and as petty as it is, it's also a method of Trump's, because you keep that person busy, you keep that person occupied. They have to spend a fortune. So he goes after these people that don't have millions of dollars and don't have people backing them up, and he tries to bankrupt them and scare them because they know now, now my daughter, my sister, my wife, now they're a target. Some nut in some MAGA nut hears that name, and now maybe they're going to come after them. So it's really a way of terrorizing and, trying to financially destroy people that have crossed them.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is a tactic that businesses have used to keep employees silent for generations. It's a tactic that those in power, those with money, have used to keep working class folks down. Is I will tie you in court for so long, you cannot win because you can't afford to win.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a way that we can ever get it back, but all of us, and I'm as guilty as anybody, you go onto a website, order something, whatever, and you click through all those boxes. Buried in the tiny print in all of those is, and if there's a disagreement, if you think that we've stolen from you, you can't sue us. It has to be done through arbitration.
Yes.
And we can hire multi-million-dollar lawyers and wrap you up for 6 years, and you'll never see a penny, and you'll be broke by the end of the process.
And that is a huge problem. Thank you so much for bringing it up, and thank you so much for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Steve. And we are going to take a break, but when we come back, we have the new mayor of Coachella, Dr. Mayor Frank Figueroa, will be on with us. Stay tuned.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Kohl's has Mother's Day gifts that feel like a treat, because moms deserve something nice. Preferably something that doesn't involve snack duty, carpool, or reminding anyone where their shoes are. Make her day with 25% off across the store during Kohl's Friends and Family Sale at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. It's just too bad you can't buy her the one thing she really wants, a nap. Select styles, 25% offer ends May 3rd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A few spotty rain showers at times, otherwise partly sunny skies with temperatures holding rather steady. Winds out of the north around 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Tonight, a slight chance for rain early on, then decreasing clouds, a low near 40. By Thursday, a slight chance for rain showers here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops high around 57 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 48.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT 820.
Welcome back. You have live, local, progressive Ken Mejia-Beal taking you through today. People always ask us what they can do to support the work we do at WCPT and Heartland Signal. As always, the best way to support our sponsors and to tell them you appreciate them advertising with us. But if you're on Facebook, there's another way. You can now subscribe to the WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal Facebook pages. A subscription is just 99 cents a month. We will have some special offers for our subscribers coming soon. So visit us, WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk and Heartland Signal on Facebook. Hit that subscribe button. And speaking of subscriptions, I have a YouTube subscription, and I was tuned into YouTube a couple of weekends ago to watch the Coachella Music Festival, and was very jealous that our next guest, my friend, Mayor of Coachella, was probably there having a great time. Let us welcome Mayor Frank Figueroa. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. On this side of the country here in sunny Southern California, where it's a little windy, but we got perfect weather today.
Well, with all due respect, Mayor, I'm in Chicago, and your weather is always perfect compared to ours. I'm wearing a jacket today. Yeah.
The weather's nice here, but it was not nice during Coachella Fest. So it was a little chilly. So we'll leave it at that.
Can I ask a question? What is a little chilly for you? And if you say anything above 30, I will personally leave the studio. So what was a little chilly, sir?
A brisk 62. But
we're going to move on with our interview, sir. So, so when were you appointed to this mayor position?
Just a week ago, April 22nd on Earth Day, and so it's been a week since I've been in this new role. Right, I've been on the city council before that for over 3 years now, and transitioning has been, I think, when you take a leadership role, and it's just been, acclimating to what people expect now. So.
And I know you have your ear to the community. I've had the luxury of going out there with you, and when I go places with you, and I say this a lot, when I go places with you, you know your community, you know your constituents, and they are proud to have you in office, and it shows. What are you hearing from the people that they want to see in government?
I think a lot of the stuff that they want is the transparency, but they want inclusion. Right. And they want people to be able to hear them. Just right now, I finished a conversation about community cats and how we can, as a city, fix this problem in some parts of the neighborhood. And it's nonprofit groups that are part of the community, and they want to know how can we get someone to be able to be at least a hearing to hear them out. Right. And I think that's what they want, someone to hear them out and listen. Right. And I think that's a big piece right now.
And when we talk about folks wanting transparency, what are you taking that in as? What are you, as you become the mayor and a leader, what are you saying, okay, this is what transparency means to me?
I think looking at it, it's incorporation in a process, which sometimes doesn't always happen, and maybe we've misstepped some scenarios where we should have had more community input, but also how things are getting done, right, in the process and what it looks like, right, educating folks and making sure we're telling them in plain terms. I think we can be transparent, right, or the ethical piece of it and say, we let people know, but it's, did you tell people in plain words that they can understand, not in law jargon or policy jargon, like, can you tell them X, Y, and Z in one sentence without having to do all these citations? And I think that's also what people want.
That, I agree with you 100%. I was having a conversation with someone a couple of days ago about all these health programs that we have in the state of Illinois, and we have hundreds of them. The problem is because the average person doesn't know where to find them or where to sign up for it doesn't really matter that they're there because no one knows how to utilize them. So what are your plans in Coachella to make sure that folks can utilize the great infrastructure that you guys are building there?
So I think proper informational, how do we disseminate information, but also I think finding how do you communicate it to people, right? Like we communicate in English and Spanish here.
Perfect.
But are people just looking at the city website, like how are we utilizing more media? Because in my community, people use social media, but people's number one reliance is the radio here. Because a lot of people are farm workers, they have day laborers, they're in their car and they're driving places and they have the radio on.
Right.
So are we using a radio as a mechanism to inform people? Because people look towards the radio because they get a big, quick snippet from a radio host and they say X, Y, and Z, and then people catch it. Right. So I think that's one thing is how do you use radio to inform more than just social media or some flyer that you put in their water bill.
Correct. And Mayor, here's a question that I'm sure you are ready to answer. When this position came to, I know, well, I will let you tell the story, but I believe, wink, wink, that you probably weren't like immediately like, I want to do it. So what was it like for you to kind of walk in and say, okay, I'm ready to do this?
I think it took some conversation with community members and really seeing where are we going to go, right? Because at first I was like, well, what's going to happen, right? Because we have a process and it really just clicked with me. It's like, okay, you know what, let's do this. We got to get through what's been going on in our city, and we have a vacancy, and we just have to have steady leadership moving through these next few months. And it really was just, because I'm a service leader, right?
Right.
And I want to give back, right? And that's what I'm here for. To me, it's just a title, and it doesn't change who I am. It didn't create a big old balloon on my head. It's, you got to, and then of course you have to take the day or two to say, oh yeah, I became this, but then you got to pop your bubble because you got to get back to work real quick. So. Got it.
And if you don't mind, can you tell our listeners a little bit, we don't want to get too much into it, but how you came into this position at this time?
Well, our mayor was indicted of 9 counts, felony charges, and he ended up pleading guilty to 1 on conflict of interest. And so he, in the state of California, that once you plead guilty to a felony like that, you're no longer allowed to hold public office. And so he automatically was, he was removed from serving, and we got a vacancy, and that's how the city had to fill this role.
Got it. So moving forward, there is going to be I'm assuming a drive for you to kind of rebuild some trust between government and your constituents. How are you making that happen?
Some of it is I'm planning some coffee with the mayors. I'm trying to recreate that trust, right? Like, come and talk to me. I'm here. So I'm planning some stuff to really look at that. How do you rebuild the trust on the folks? Because I think it's needed, and it's not going to happen overnight. And having coffee with the person isn't going to change anything. They're still going to have their own speculations. So I think it's more looking at I'm here to listen, and I'm the people's person. It's the people's city. It's not mine. It's always been, without people, there's no actions, right? And we need the people to be there to make sure that they keep us accountable. And I think that's the important part about what I want to do is listen to them and make sure that we listen to them and know what their comments are. And we need to make sure that the decisions you make are in the best interest of themselves.
Well, Mayor,
of the people.
Mayor, I think you're going to be great at this position. I just have one more very important question for you. You were at the Coachella Music Festival. What was your highlight?
Madonna.
That was the right answer. Thank you. Mayor Frank, it's always a pleasure. I will be out there to visit you later this year. I cannot wait to see your beautiful town again. Thank you so much for calling in. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. And we will be back very soon. Stay tuned.
In 1776, we defied a corrupt king, and the America we love was born from that defiance. Now it's time to do it again. America is in crisis, but patriots across the country are standing up to save her for ourselves and our posterity. Show your support with the No Kings lapel pin, a 1-inch by 1-inch standard American flag lapel pin embedded with our No Kings symbol. so much better than that tacky red hat. It's a subtle but powerful way to say you've had enough of wannabe dictators and you're doing something about it. Every day, keep our movement going by wearing this pin that clearly says what freedom-loving Americans are thinking. There are no kings in America, and there never will be. Go to store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Get your No Kings lapel pin now.
Patty Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
I'm Dr. Anthony Lazarowitz, and this is Climate Connections. The days are getting longer, and spring is around the corner. For many home gardeners, it's a time of hope and anticipation. So it's the perfect time to plan how to help your flower beds thrive as climate change brings more extreme and unpredictable weather.
Flooding, droughts, heat, cold, all the extreme weather we're seeing is going to impact plants.
That's Christy Marsden of the University of Minnesota Climate Adaptation Partnership. She says one of the most important things you can do is get your soil tested and then take steps to improve your soil health, for example, by adding compost. Healthier soil retains more water during droughts, and it's less likely to erode during heavy storms. Marsden also suggests growing a wider mix of flowers than you might have grown before, with varieties that thrive in a range of conditions. And she recommends relying more on perennial plants, which come back every year, and less on annuals.
Perennials are more able to withstand some of those extremes because they have deeper roots, they're more established.
So while climate change is a challenge, she says by being flexible and trying new things, you can still grow a beautiful garden in a warming world. Climate Connections is produced by the Yale Center for Environmental Communication. To learn more about climate change, visit climateconnections.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Now back to Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT 820.
Welcome back. I am live, I am local, and I am progressive. I am Ken Mejia-Beal, and thank you for joining us today. You can listen to, rate, and share the Joan Esposito full episodes and featured interviews podcast. They're both available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Search for Joan Esposito on your podcast platform of your choice, or visit our podcast page at heartlandsignal.com/podcast. Some of the latest additions to Joan's featured interviewed podcast are legal analyst Barbara McQuaid, University of Chicago professor and author Tom Ginsberg, Forrest Claypool, former Chief Executive Officer of Chicago Public Schools, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, pollster Charles Franklin, Yusuf Jackson, newly appointed President and CEO of Rainbow Push Coalition, and Ezra Levine, Co-Executive Director of Indivisible. Visit the live, local, and progressive show page to get the rundown on what guests are coming up on the show. Listen and demand to recent interviews and full episodes. Find subscribe links to Joan's full episodes and featured interview podcasts. See a Joan Esposito photo gallery and more. Go to heartlandsignal.com/Joan and check out our new website. And of course, I want to hear from you. So please call in at 773-763-9278 to join the conversation. And right now, we do have a caller that would like to join the conversation. Hello, what is your name?
Hi, this is Cynthia in Denver, Colorado. How are you?
Oh, Cynthia, how are you? I love Denver.
Oh, cool. Well, you love it today because it's pretty chilly out here. So.
Yeah, same here, Cynthia.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I wanted to get your opinion. Is there anything that would stop the Democrats once they take power, immediately when they get in, to expand the Supreme Court, start impeaching Pete Hegseth, correct or eliminate or restore what Trump has done using the 2025 plan that he used to destroy everything, can they use that and go and restore and recreate and not do this incrementally? I don't see what would prevent them from being able to do all of that at once. I think, if anything, the GOP has shown us that they can get things done almost overnight if they want to. So I have two answers for you, Cynthia. My first answer is the safe answer, which is I've written down everything you've said, and these will be my first questions to our human rights attorney, Qasim Rashid, because he will know the answers for sure. But this is my personal opinion. I believe with the right amount of people and the right amount of chutzpah, the Democratic Party can do whatever we want. Because we can do it the right way, and we can do it for the betterment of this nation. I believe, and I've said this for years, while the Republican Party is playing Game of Thrones, the Democratic Party has been playing Downton Abbey. We want everyone to be friendly. We want to have tea. We want to have all these conversations, while the Republicans are getting in, and their cruelty is the point. Correct. When we talk about, well, that's cruel, that's their point. They want to punish those of us who do not fall in line. So what I am hopeful for is, especially as a progressive, I want to elect not just Democratic candidates. I want to elect progressive leaders that are ready to go in and get things done. I don't want any more business as usual. I think the business as usual does not work. It is time to get in real leaders, real fighters that are ready to get their hands dirty and do the work. And guess what? Sometimes doing the work doesn't look pretty, and sometimes it's going to cause ruckus. I've said for a long time, Cynthia, and I feel like I'm going to rant. I apologize. The Democratic Party likes unity, and that is, in theory, wonderful. But the problem with unity is there is always a faction of folks that are going to be left out of the unity because they've been excluded. So instead of unity, I don't really care about unity. I want justice. So if we can get justice and it annoys a couple of people, I'm okay with that. I would like to see results. Same. Period. No matter what they do. And I guess my anguish, because, Trump is giving me so much heartburn these days. Same. Yeah. I don't see why they just can't get in there and start to, just act like it's a manifesto or something, And in terms of recruiting fighters, who said that you elect me and then make me do it? I don't know who said that. I don't. It's a quote. Okay. Said, when you elect people, you elect them, but then you got to make them do it. Why can't we, as the citizens, make a plan? Call Hakeem Jeffries daily, for a week or two, when we want something done, because he's a national spokesperson for the House. He will be, and because some of these guys have it set up, if you don't know the zip code, they don't let you through when you call them. What?
Cynthia, you just brought up a good point, and this is what I will say to that. I think we should be calling Hakeem Jeffries. We should be Googling the area code or the zip code of where we can get through those lines, because he is speaking on behalf of all of us, so he should listen to all of us. And guess what? If he's not listening to all of us, it is up to all of us to make sure that we're telling our local elected official, hey, when this guy runs for Speaker of the House, don't vote for him. We need someone in there that's going to vote and work with the rest of us. It's time to simply not vote for folks because they are in office. We have to vote for folks that will keep the office in the hands of the people. Thank you so much for calling, Cynthia. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Going to get to our next caller. Hello. Can I have your name, please?
Yes, you can. My name is Andre.
Andre, how's it going?
It could be better, but I won't complain because my good days outweigh my bad. How about that?
I like that answer, Andre. What's on your mind today?
Okay, well, I'll make it real quick. In reference to the attempted shooting, they always talk about this, both sides need to tone it down. But there's one individual there on Pennsylvania Avenue has accelerated the call for violence. He called for Liz Cheney to face a military tribunal, a televised military tribunal. Mm-hmm. But the Democrats are not pushing back on this issue, and they should be helping Jimmy Kimmel fight back and let it be known that Donald Trump has been the worst person that acted, that called for violence. Nancy Pelosi says, the list is unlimited.
Yes.
Hang Mike Pence. So him and his administration is the last one to say something about that, and the Democrats need to keep that before the public so they don't forget. But the last thing I want to talk about is, if we have learned anything from this here, it's learned that rules need to be changed. The minimum requirements to be president of the United States is not enough.
I agree.
And if the Democrats take power and they don't change the requirements, we could have another Donald Trump. Just like P.T. Barnum said, sucker born every minute, you got a Donald Trump born every minute if we let him make progress. So 35 years old, be here 14 years, be U.S. citizen is nowhere nearly enough. You don't even need a diploma. So if
Correct.
they don't change that, then we got another Donald Trump in the making. That's all I wanted to say there.
Andre, thank you for calling, and from your mouth to God's ears, because I agree with everything you just said. Our next caller, hello. Can I have your name, please?
My name is Adele from Villa Park.
Hi, Adele from Villa Park. I used to live very close to there. How are you doing today?
Thank you. It's a wonderful place. I'm doing well. I wanted to share, I'm a member of a great indivisible group out of Arlington Heights, NWSOFA, very action-oriented. Mm-hmm. And some members have been going to this bi-monthly MAGA breakfast in Schaumburg at, I think it's Walter's something. Sorry, I don't remember the name. Okay. So I forced myself to go yesterday. It's every other Tuesday. And I don't want to be around MAGA, but I thought I'm going to go. And it was rather frightening.
Thank you for going.
Thank you. The anger and vitriol that just comes from their mouths as a regular, you get 3 minutes to share, as a regular statement is just shocking. And there were like maybe 5 of us Democratic voters, and the rest of them were MAGA. There were a few that weren't exactly MAGA. And it was the personal attacks against the woman next to me, who's a former teacher, and was very, her notes were very, she could cite all her sources. Mm-hmm. It's just shocking. There were 2 main bullies in the room, but it was very, very interesting experience. I did get up and speak.
Okay.
And she may not go back again because of the personal attacks, but she may go if I go. And I am planning on going again. I'd love for some of the audience members that are local in the Schaumburg area to come. And
Adele, if they want to come, is there an email address or a way they can look your organization up to visit you so you have some support?
Yes, please. They can go on Mobilize Us. Ours is a very organized, indivisible group with a great reputation nationally. I think we have 10,000 members locally.
That's awesome.
And they go on Mobilize Us, and you can look for the really good one is Coffee and Conversation every morning at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. with some after hours. It's an organized sharing meeting. You get 1 minute to share.
Okay.
People would find it extremely uplifting and give us an incentive to be action-oriented, not just coming on the Zoom call to complain. And we're going to organize a bigger group to attend that MAGA breakfast. So I hope that's enough information I'm sharing.
I think it is, Adele. And what I want to recommend is in a month or so, I think you should call back in and give us an update.
I'll be happy to. The next meeting.
Thank you, Adele.
The next meeting is May 12th, Tuesday, May 12th. Get there at 9:30. The meeting starts at 10.
Awesome. Thank you so much for calling and giving us this information, Adele. Have a great day. Okay, we have time for, come on, another caller. Can I have your name, please?
Hey, Ken?
Yes.
Ken. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, what's your name?
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt, how's it going, buddy?
How are you doing?
Fantastic. I'm in a little bit earlier than we usually speak, but I know there's something on your mind today.
Oh, yeah. What's on my mind is, well, first of all, I want to say this. Years ago, I don't remember the exact year, my mom was really worried when Trump came into office, the first presidency or the first term. And my mom was really, worried and everything. And I said, no, I will start to worry when comedians disappear at night, because she watches Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert now. What I wanted to connect with the recent thing with this Jimmy Kimmel thing between Trump and now Melania, they're saying that he's cruel and that he's inciting violence and everything. But if I remember correctly, putting aside Trump, because we know that he's cruel and all of that. Yes. But to be specific on Melania, didn't she wear a windbreaker once? She flew into, I'm trying to think if it was Texas, with that windbreaker that says, I don't care, you, or something to that effect.
Yes, you are correct. It was green. I don't remember the state, but I remember the sentiment behind it, which was negative, yes.
Exactly. So that's one of my points. And the second point is this. She plays the double role, meaning she tries to be like a good first lady, but she's never been a first lady. If we remember correctly, she copied Jackie's style in the first presidency. Do you remember that dress that she had? Very kind of 60s kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's constantly taking, and by the way, now that I'm thinking of this and I'm on the subject of copying, didn't she steal Michelle Obama's speech?
She did.
Word for word?
She did.
So here's my second and final point. These people, the Trumps, I mean, the whole family, they just take, and that's one of the things that they take. They take ideas from other people. They don't have an original idea. Look, who's in charge to be cruel? Miller. Miller's in charge. So he gives them ideas, the cruelest ideas. And I'm going to close it with this, Ken, because I know you're running out of time. I'm going to close it with this. I'll never forget the father and the young girl, 2 years old, face down. They had drowned at the border because they were closing all the ports all the entry points. And the guy that started that was that weasel with the funny ears. I call him Mickey Mouse. Remember the guy, Jeff Sessions?
Yes, there you go. Yes, Jeff Sessions.
Jeff Sessions. So
he was an elf.
Exactly. So that's another point. He was cruel too. If you remember, he would give him ideas. But remember, if my memory serves me right, he was one of the first ones to have the "Make America Great" hats.
Yes,
so
he was.
One of the first. Yeah,
he was.
So there you go. But Melania, I mean, to say that Jimmy Kimmel, and besides, that was before the so-called attempted assassination.
Yes.
So the joke was what, 3-4 days before or whatever.
Correct.
But that's, I want to reinstate what I said before, and that is what I told my mom. When our comedians start disappearing, we're in big trouble, because they're the only ones that are being honest. Because the media, even though they weren't, experienced the horror or whatever you want to call it, at this dinner that they had, they have plenty to blame for. They are in cahoots with Trump in a roundabout way because they don't criticize him. You spoke about Hakeem Jeffries.
Yes.
Jeffries. Did you see the press conference that he had? And did you see the way the media acted towards him and the questions that they said they said to him? They said, "Don't you think that basically, like saying you should tone it down?" But they don't say that to Trump.
And you know what
I'm saying?
And you know what, Roosevelt? That is the problem. And I so thank you for bringing that up. I do have to let you go, Roosevelt, but that is the perfect way to end this segment. Is why is our media not holding everyone accountable in the same way. When we come back, we're going to talk a lot more. Thank you, Roosevelt, for calling. We're going to go to break.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Jose and Laura came to Brookfield Tax Planning worried about their taxes. After their free, no-obligation tax reduction review, they discovered they'd been overpaying $8,100 every year for 28 years. That's $227,000 of hard-earned money gone forever. Why? Jose and Laura's financial advisor did nothing to reduce their taxes, and their accountant records history after the year ends when it's too late to use legal, proactive tax reduction strategies for business owners and retirees. 94% of Brookfield's clients discover they've wasted thousands for years due to passive advisors. Brookfield Tax Planning reviews your returns free and can show you how much you're overpaying, how to plan ahead now to stop it. You risk nothing. But this may be the most profitable hour you'll invest all year. Call Brookfield Tax Planning at 708-485-3439 or visit BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com. That's BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. The Federal Reserve decided not to change a key interest rate. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's term is wrapping up next month. What's next for him?
After my term as chair ends on May 15, I will continue to serve as a governor for a period of time to be determined. I plan to keep a low profile as a governor. There's only ever one chair of the Federal Reserve Board. When Kevin Warsh is confirmed and sworn in, he will be that chair.
Powell has been at odds with President Trump. Warsh received the approval of the Senate Banking Committee. Democrats confronted Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth for the first time since the Iran war started. Here's the AP's Sagar Meghani.
As the Pentagon revealed during a House hearing that the war has cost $25 billion, California's John Garamendi and other Democrats ripped it as a blunder with unclear goals.
You have been lying to the American public about this war from day one, and so has the president.
Hegseth fired back.
Who are you cheering for here? Who are you pulling for?
In a tense exchange with top panel Democrat Adam Smith, Hegseth insisted the U.S. obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities last year.
We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions.
Hegseth says lawmakers criticizing the war pose a big challenge to the military.
The biggest adversary we face at this point.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The Supreme Court's conservative majority ruled a majority black congressional district in Louisiana relied too heavily on race. This is Georgia Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock.
This Trump Supreme Court just threw out the protections that were earned by the civil rights movement.
Oil prices keep moving higher because of the Iran war. This is AP News. The AP's Julie Walker reports King Charles and Queen Camilla are in New York.
Here at the National 9/11 Memorial, honoring victims of the attacks. Charles and Camilla are on a closely watched diplomatic trip to the U.S., marking the 250th anniversary of the country declaring independence from England. The king laying a bouquet of white flowers here at the memorial reflecting pool with a note, and the royal couple meeting with 9/11 first responders and victims' families. Also, as part of the trip, Camilla visits the New York Public Library, where she'll deliver a Roo doll for the library's collection of Winnie the Pooh stuffed animals, as the children's character turns 100. Charles goes to a nonprofit in Harlem doing community work. The royal couple also attends a reception at Rockefeller Center for a charity Charles founded supporting young people, the King's Trust. In Lower Manhattan at the 9/11 Memorial, I'm Julie Walker.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ray Miller. Chance of rain showers this afternoon, otherwise more clouds than sun. High temperatures reach up to 57. Winds out of the north, 10 to 20 miles an hour. Slight chance of rain showers. Tonight, lows level off around 39. Mainly clear skies. Slight chance for showers. Tomorrow, highs around 56. Slight chance for showers. Friday, highs around 52. 56. A mix of clouds and sun. Saturday. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, 50.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Now back to Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT 820.
Welcome back with live, local, and progressive Ken Mejia-Beal. And for those of you that I might sound a little familiar to, I am usually on Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, and tonight on Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, she will be joined by car guy Tom Apple, host of the Consumer Guide Car Stuff podcast. Then during the 6 o'clock hour, Patty will participate in the Up North podcast with Minocqua Brewing Company owner Kirk Banstead and special guests. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 AM, the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Love Patty. She's one of the greatest people in the world you can meet. And so is our next guest. Our next guest is someone that I am very lucky to call a friend and an ally in the struggle. His name is Harold Gatewood. He is the chair of the Chicago Gay Black Men's Caucus. Hello, Harold. How's it going?
Hello, Ken. Hello, Chicago.
It's so good to have you back on. Thank you for joining us, because we do have something very important to discuss, and it's something that we are both working on. And for those of you that do not know, just a little bit of history. HIV cases are rising in certain areas and demographics due to various reasons. Some are post-pandemic disruptions in testing and care, decreased condom use, gaps in access to prevention services like PrEP. But we are also facing government slashing unlike we have seen in decades to HIV and AIDS research, especially under the Trump administration. So, Harold, I wanted to have you on because I know it's something that you and I have both in our personal lives really worked on, and something we've both advocated for, better access to PrEP, better access to testing, erasing stigma. So with these rising numbers, what is your feel about, before we get into your thought, because I know you're very smart, but how are you feeling about, like, what's your feel? Right. Yeah, no, you're good.
So how do I feel about, the state of things right now?
Yeah.
So I'm angry, right?
Fair.
Because, all of the things that you pointed out before, right? So, we've seen rates rising for a couple of years now. So it's some important things to point out are, it comes from CDC data, which is lagging. So the data that we're talking about comes from 2024, 2023 and 2024. Mm-hmm. Those are the rates that reflect, rising or increase in the number of new infections, right?
Right.
And all of the same reasons that you pointed to, like, migration patterns, connections or access to testing and treatment, lagging COVID impacts, relation to STI treatment, access to PrEP, all of these things are all opportunities. Once we know that rates are increasing, which is bad enough in of itself, we've relied, or we have come to rely on the government funding programs to help mitigate these things, right?
Right.
That's how we got to the point of, having steady overall, new HIV rates for years, while we still saw, there were increases in HIV cases, within the Black same-gender loving community, Latino same-gender loving community. But now we see overall rates, overall rise.
Right.
And so we had come to rely on the government funding programs to our local public health departments and community organizations, to help drive those numbers down, to help people get access to PrEP, for treatment, for education, all of these things, access to care. And so now we've seen our government having access to this very same data that shows, hey, y'all, we're seeing an increase here. So what does our federal government do, right? It turns around and cuts funding.
Yeah, and
our local. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Don't apologize. But I was wondering, do you have the number? Because I know it's a crazy number, and I don't want to exaggerate it. But the number it's a huge number. Do you happen to have
as far as the number of new cases?
As far as the number of the funds that were cut, it's millions and millions of dollars.
It's been millions. I don't have the exact number.
That's
off the
okay.
Top of my head.
Continue.
Yeah, but I can tell you, from our work or funding that we get through the Chicago Department of Public Health, we've seen cuts, or at least a slowdown in the funds that are allocated to the Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus. And we've seen this across the board for many of the organizations, frontline organizations across the city, the county, and the state who are combating the HIV crisis. And it really doesn't make any sense. It's immoral. It's unethical. At a time, again, when you've seen that rates are increasing, that you cut funding.
And when we talk about the cutting of the funds, let's talk about where these funds used to go. So where were these funds being allocated to?
So they're being allocated to, different organizations, Chicago Black Gay Men Caucus, to support programming that we do with community engagement, access to healthcare resources, access to testing. For some of the other organizations, it's hit their ability to provide housing resources for the population who are HIV positive or who have AIDS. It's hit their ability to test. It's hit their ability to provide treatment resources, educational resources. It's hit their ability to provide access to PrEP. So it's really been across the board. And most recently, I think within a couple of months ago, right, we saw the CD come in with a direct attack on organizations who had programs directed towards, say, different minority groups.
Yes.
For trans healthcare resources, housing resources, all of these things. So these were all direct attacks, and they named Chicago, Illinois, specifically in those attacks among cities in other states, blue states. So these are all things that the federal government is trying to do, but we're fighting back.
And just for our listeners, you mentioned PrEP. What exactly is PrEP for those who do not know?
Oh, yes. Great question.
Yes.
So PrEP is a program where it provides medication to people who are HIV negative, and it prevents the onset, or it prevents them from contracting HIV. It's been around for quite some time now. Maybe almost 20 years or so.
I did not know it's been around that long.
It's been around. I might be wrong there, but it has been around for quite some time. A number of, especially same-gender loving men, gay men, bisexual men, and trans-identified individuals currently utilize it, but there's a lot of opportunity for a lot more, especially for Black and Brown communities, to have access to PrEP. And with PrEP, it includes, you go see a doctor maybe every 90 days or every 3 months or so.
Okay.
They're going to test you for STIs, because STIs infections have been found scientifically to be one of the factors that contributes to HIV infection.
Got it.
And so They'll be able to catch if you have any STIs, treat your STIs, but also give you access to this medication, which is HIV medication previously. These were used to treat HIV infections, but scientifically we found that providing these medications before someone contracts HIV prevents the onset of HIV.
Thank you for sharing that information. And what I would like to do is, if we can, just keep you a little bit longer. We're gonna go to a break, but when we come back, we've talked about the problems. I want to talk about some solutions, Harold. Is that okay? Great. So we're going to go on break, and we're going to come back and turn this frown right upside down. We'll be back.
Fleet, we know you do things your way, so why shop the same retail giants as everyone else when you can easily find the products you need and trust at unbeatable farm and fleet prices? Save $10 on Gordon's 2.5-gallon liquid weed and feed or Trimet concentrate, 15% off assorted Rust-Oleum Stops Rust paint, and Balin utility gates, buy one, get one half price. Find value on the things you value. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Be an original.
Are you ready to experience Manifest, the annual arts festival from Columbia College Chicago? For 25 years, Manifest has been the ultimate celebration of Columbia's creative spirit. Join us Saturday, May 16th, as Columbia's campus transforms into a living, breathing showcase of creativity. From live music and fashion shows to film screenings, theater, dance, and gallery exhibitions, there's something for the whole family to enjoy. Manifest is more than a festival. It's a full-day celebration of student talent, innovation, and artistic expression, brought to life by Columbia student creators. Wander through immersive exhibits, discover new voices, feel the energy of Chicago's creative community all in one place. And the best part? It's free and open to the public. Don't miss your chance to experience the future of art at Columbia. Learn more and register now at colum.edu/manifest.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Those of you who are hate listening, like the rage, the anger has got to be exhausting. So I want you to also take care of yourselves. Maybe take a step back. Try to be mindful about why you're calling people names online. I got called some more names today. I think they are getting a little bit tired. Maybe some of them are starting to have the fart around and find out effects.
Patty Vasquez, weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Don't turn that dial.
A dangerous mistake to make.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, returns right now on WCPT 820.
Thank you. We are back live, local, and progressive. Ken Mejia-Beal, thank you for tuning in to WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal. Right now, we were engaged in a conversation with Harold Gatewood, chair of the Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus, on the rising numbers of HIV and AIDS, something we have actually seen a huge decrease in over the last decades or so, and now they are increasing again. And where we wanted to take this conversation, Harold, is what we can do to combat the stigma, to increase the testing, to help folks understand how they can utilize PrEP. So I just threw a lot at you, and I apologize. My brain, it's like poor Harold does not know how to respond. So number one, someone listening that's hearing these numbers, what can they do to say, hey, this isn't right, and put that, hey, this isn't right, into action? What are their next steps?
Next steps. So number one, I'll start with mine, and it's going to sound kind of corny.
Go for it.
But this has helped me, when I talked about anger in the previous segment, this has helped me kind of deal with that anger moving forward, pressing on. And it's just a simple, think about love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about the things that we love, the people we love. And love is going to be the thing that drives us forward. Things that we pursue as we reconstruct, as we rebuild, we're going to do it out of love, right?
Right.
We can't do it out of hate. We got to do it out of love. So that's the first. I said it's kind of corny, right? But that's
nothing about love is corny. It's a lack of it in this world. Yeah. But continue.
Exactly. So next, one, we can call our local representatives, and here in the state of Illinois, obviously, yes, we want to be in touch with our congressional representatives and keep pushing to fight back against the administration. But locally, right, and I know that you're very tied to local politics and politicians in our races. So there are bills currently going through the Illinois legislature. We have HB 4410, and we have, which is the House Bill 4410, and Senate Bill SB 2814.
Okay.
Which is sponsored by Representative Cohen Hewen and Senator Mike Simmons, called Strengthening and Protecting Illinois HIV Funding Infrastructure.
Okay.
So it's sponsored through AIDS Foundation Chicago, so AFC, and it includes the ask to increase funding at the state level for things such as PrEP, medication assistance, STI screening and treatment services, the Getting to Zero initiative, and the African American HIV/AIDS response funding. So that's one. We can help push through bills at the state level.
Okay.
That will raise funds and awareness of what we can still do at the local level. We still need to keep pushing our local leaders through the Chicago Department of Public Health. Keep engaging with them and pushing them. One, as they're dealing with funding that comes through the CDC, but also in how they engage with local community organization, our local nonprofits at the front lines, providing resources and testing and PrEP assistance and access to medical care. So those are two different areas. Okay. And also, we can also directly engage and support, donate funds, volunteer for some of our local organizations. We have Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus, which is my organization that I'm on the board of.
Yes.
But we also have, some of ours are big ones, such as, Equality Illinois, AIDS Foundation Chicago. So we have a lot of local organizations that still need our help, still need our love, still need our support. So those are some ways. And like I said, we still need to push for increased PrEP assistance. We still need to cover gaps in housing and funding for housing for HIV positive, our HIV positive population who may come into, lacking housing resources. There's a lot of different issues in which we can still support our local organizations while still pressing at our local leaders, our local politicians, state politicians, and the federal government.
And this is going to be a weird question for you, but are you ever surprised by the lack of urgency behind HIV and AIDS because folks don't think it exists anymore?
I want to say yes and no, right?
Okay.
Because yes, it's surprising because when you think about, we say HIV, we say AIDS, but when we're talking about it, we have to think back to where it came from, right? Not only all of the people who died from AIDS, but how they died from it.
Okay.
So, right, we can never lose sight of that. And many of us, especially, the younger population, 40s and under, maybe we didn't see the extent of it, right?
Right.
That, say, folks in our 50s, 60s, and up saw. But we can't lose sight of how horrific this disease is. And then, no, it's not as surprising when we see how, when we talk about numbers improved, we saw lesser amounts of people contracting HIV over the past couple of decades and up until recently. But the populations that still saw increasing numbers are African American population, LGBTQ population, same gender loving, trans, our Latino population. So still people who are on the margins we're still being impacted, by this disease. But it's easy to erase those populations who live on the margins.
So
that's why it's a yes and no answer for me.
And that was a great way to look at it, because I do believe that if, HIV were impacting a lot more non-marginalized groups, I don't think you and I would be having this conversation right now. I strongly believe we would have, just more visibility around it.
Yeah.
What can we do, minus, going to our government officials, getting funding? What do you think we can do just every day to increase visibility and awareness?
I would say look at our local nonprofits who specialize in this work, who invest time, people, and resources into this work of HIV education, prevention, resource connection. And I think that's where we will find, the people who are doing this work on a day in, day out, who are engaging with the population, both, the folks who are still negative, but have the opportunities to get on, PrEP, but also the HIV positive population, who many still may need connections to healthcare resources, may need access to medication with some of the cuts that we've been having with, Medicaid, food resources. That's another big one. I think that we're potentially going to see some negative impacts of that. Is we've seen the cuts in SNAP funding. And so if people can't, that could have a lot of serious repercussions, right? Because then, right, you're talking about your ability to eat, right? So you're weighing, I need to find food versus, that doctor's appointment, right? Right. Or I need to go here to get a test. I need to go here to get this medication, to get this shot, because you can get a shot for PrEP. So when we put those kind of restrictions on people where they have to start making those decisions, this or that, but it could mean their lives. So I think those are all things we just need to be aware of and, keep combating. We're going to get through this. And like I said, love has to be at the forefront of that. We have to act through love.
And thank you so much for ending on that message, because I agree. Where can we find out more about your website for the Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus?
You can find information about the caucus at we are at ChicagoBlackGayMen'sCaucus.org. Or you can just type in CBGMC.
Thank you so much, Harold. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for hearing me out, Chicago. Yep. I appreciate all of you. Love all of you.
Have a good one, Harold, and we will be right back.
All right.
Are you ready to experience Manifest, the annual arts festival from Columbia College Chicago? For 25 years, Manifest has been the ultimate celebration of Columbia's creative spirit. Join us Saturday, May 16th, as Columbia's campus transforms into a living, breathing showcase of creativity. From live music and fashion shows to film screenings, theater, dance, and gallery exhibitions, there's something for the whole family to enjoy. Manifest is more than a festival. It's a full-day celebration of student talent, innovation, and artistic expression, brought to life by Columbia student creators. Wander through immersive exhibits, discover new voices, feel the energy of Chicago's creative community all in one place. And the best part, it's free and open to the public. Don't miss your chance to experience the future of art at Columbia. Learn more and register now at colum.edu/manifest.
Excuse me, miss. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you recommend a bank that offers a full suite of commercial banking products along with excellent service?
Yes, ABOC.
What about a bank that has been in Chicago for more than 100 years and really understands the local business climate?
ABOC.
But I manage a labor union. Can you recommend a bank that really understands how labor unions operate and what banking products they need?
Again, ABOC. ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922 and understands the local business climate better than anyone. ABOC was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders today, so they really understand how unions tick and how their needs may be different. But whether you're with a labor union or another type of business, whether you're large or small or something in between, ABOC will always make you feel like you're their most important customer. Visit ABOC.com to learn more.
Wow, thank you, random person on the street. I'm going to visit ABOC.com today.
Member FDIC.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. A few showers early tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low near 40 and northwest winds at 5 to 15. Thursday, sunny with a high temperature of 51 and north winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Friday, sunshine, 49 for the high temperature. Saturday, lots of sun and a high temperature of 51 degrees. Sunday, slight chance of showers with a high temperature of 65. Monday, showers and a high of 68. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 50.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Don't turn that dial.
A dangerous mistake to make.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, returns right now on WCPT 820.
Live, local, and progressive today with Ken Mejia-Beal. Before we begin, I wanted to tell you tomorrow on Chew's Views, Richard Chew will talk to Maya McGinnis, president of the Bipartisan Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, Dr. Anthony Douglas, a trauma surgeon at the University of Chicago Hospital and a lead organizer behind the Responsibility in Firearm Legislation Act, or Rifle Act, in Illinois, along with Dr. Thomas Fisher, attending emergency medicine physician at the University of Chicago and former candidate for Congress in the 8th District of Illinois. Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 AM, the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Someone I used to, back in the day, it feels like a lifetime ago, I was the chair of the Democratic Party of DuPage County, and someone I would love having early morning conversations with between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. was the DuPage County Clerk, Gene Kaczmarek, who is joining us now. Hello, Clerk Kaczmarek. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to have you on because it's so important in this environment to talk about voter rights, especially on a day where we are seeing the gutting of voter rights, and to highlight some of the work that you've done here in Illinois. Can you tell our listeners a little, well, not a little bit, you were the leader in putting in Vote From Anywhere, and it started in DuPage County. Can you explain that a little bit?
Right. Everything came together, the law and the equipment that we had just purchased in 2021. And so everything came together, and we were able to initiate Vote Anywhere in the primary for 2022. And that means that instead of a voter needing to go to a certain polling place on election day to vote, a voter can go anywhere in DuPage County to vote.
And I will tell you, as someone who moved to DuPage County after living in Cook County for a long time, especially as a African-American voter, it is hard knowing where you're supposed to go. And what happens is you get off of work, you go to where you think you're supposed to go, they tell you to go someplace else, and the average person just says, never mind. And what we saw after this is voting increased tremendously with your Vote by Mail program and the Vote From Anywhere program, correct?
Correct. It did go up. And my initiative from day one was to increase voter turnout. And in order to do that, you have to increase voter access. The two go hand in hand.
Yes. And so with increasing that voter access, when we talk about places turning from blue to red or red to blue or whatever, I think it's important that in this history of conversation, when we talk about the work you've done in DuPage County, I know you don't want me to say this, but I'm going to say it. It is you who we owe, the listeners that live in DuPage County owe a lot of thank you to, because without you in this position, a lot of voters would not have voted. They would not have the easy access to vote. So thank you for that. And I think, especially in your position, a lot of people probably don't say thank you very often, but thank you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. And I want to say that even if turnout increases just a point or two on Election Day or with vote by mail, it makes a huge difference in the results.
And something about the vote by mail, how have you been able to navigate a lot of the, negative press around vote by mail? You even have the President of the United States railing against vote by mail, who he also votes by mail, coincidentally. But coincidentally, but how do you override all the negative that come with vote by mail? A lot of folks saying it's not secure, blah, blah, blah. What is that conversation like?
Well, I try to ignore what comes out of Washington and just go ahead and follow the law in Illinois. Mm-hmm. And we make vote by mail, we publicize it well via the Postal Service and also social media. And so we have a great deal of participation. In fact, we have 100,000 people already signed up for permanent vote by mail in DuPage County.
That is amazing. And just can you explain to the listeners what permanent vote by mail means?
That means that every single time there's an election, you would automatically receive a ballot. You wouldn't have to keep going back and, filling out the form to receive a ballot in the mail. So
with that said, I'm also going to shine a light on another fact, because I like speaking in facts, because our conversation is going to take a turn in a little bit. So before we take that turn, speaking in facts, before the permanent vote by mail, Democrats were not traditionally winning township and municipal elections in DuPage County. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And so after this, can you tell our listeners a little like how that changed our township and municipal elections due to the work by your leadership in your office?
Well, I realized quickly that was going to have a big impact in 2025 when we did have the municipal elections, township elections, because everyone who had signed up to permanent vote by mail would now be receiving a ballot, whereas maybe they would be sitting it out.
Right.
And right. And so suddenly there was a surge in permanent vote by mail voting last year. And instead of winning just a few races here and there, the Democrats won 49 out of 49 races.
Can you repeat that number again? The Democrats won
49 out of 49 races.
49 out of 49 races, in great part due to the work that you and your office put in place. So, needless to say, you are a big proponent of why a part of there's never just one piece of a wall that builds a foundation, but you are a huge part of that foundation, because no matter how much money you raise, if the folks are not getting out to vote or the folks are not voting, it does not matter. So as we talk about the our past election that just happened, because we are going to get there, going into this last election, you had been you have been incredibly successful in the position of the DuPage County Clerk and as a member of the Democratic Party, because I know you operate your office nonpartisanly. But as a Democrat, I would believe that Democrats would be happy to jump behind you and make sure that we get you in this seat yet again in 2026. Was that your thought going into 2026?
I would say that was my thought.
Okay. Rightfully so, because of the facts, the numbers, the statistics.
Correct.
So, Clerk Kaczmarek, what happened, though?
Well, starting in 2022, I began questioning why DuPage handles some of its finances the way it does.
Okay.
And it was much different than in the rest of the state with the countywide positions. And the difference being that in all the other counties in Illinois, countywide officers have internal control of their office, and they have internal control of their decisions.
Okay.
That's not quite the case in DuPage County.
Got it.
There was a lot of county board input into what I was doing. So we began to question the state's attorney's office about why this is done, why this is so. And for the most part, the conversations were cordial.
Okay.
And we were just, politely asking the question. We wanted to know the law. And so then in 2023, things took another turn.
Okay.
And that's when Chair Deb Conroy came on board. And we were thinking that she would be changing the people in the executive positions around her. But she didn't. She kept the same people that Cronin had appointed to those positions.
And just for our listeners, I apologize, Clerk Kaczmarek. Cronin is...
He was the former chair of the DuPage County Board.
Understood. Okay. So there was a turnover in leadership, but not necessarily a turnover with the folks that were leading the kind of the governmental affairs aspect of it.
Right.
Sort of? Okay. I'm following.
The old guard was still intact, and of course they were all following what State's Attorney Bob Berlin was telling them.
Okay.
And so really nothing had changed except Chair Deb Conroy came on board, and things started happening very quickly. Our bills weren't being paid. And
so when you say your bills weren't being paid, because that, as a person that is not in government, I know that when bills not being paid is a bad thing. So when you say your bills weren't being paid, you're putting in for bills to be paid, and what is happening? Okay.
Right. Our office does not have any check writing authority.
Understood.
You send the bills to finance, and then finance and the auditors sign off on them, and then they're paid.
Understood.
Right.
So that is all happening, and you are still doing your job clearly every day. It seems like maybe other people weren't, but you're doing your job. So you're going into this election knowing that you have the best track record to run on. And I think... And, yes, continue.
Well, so the problem began to escalate in 2023. There seemed to be a lot more criticism of my office made by the county board during the meetings, and a lot more scrutiny.
We're because I really want to get into the scrutiny And I really want to get into, because at the end of this story is really a tragic story about political machines. And before I don't want to cut you off in the middle, we're going to take a break and we're going to talk about this. So stay with us, Clerk Kaczmarek. Don't go anywhere. Listeners, we will be right back.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Every weekday afternoon from 2 to 5 p.m. on WCPT 820.
Live, local, and progressive, Ken Mejia-Beal is in for Joan Esposito. And right now we have Clerk Jean Kaczmarek of DuPage County on our line, the founder of the Vote From Anywhere, which drastically increased voter turnout, Democratic voter turnout in DuPage County. And we are right at the part of the story where she should be telling us how the Democratic coalition got together and made sure she got reelected. But unfortunately, we are not at that part in the story. So, Clerk Kaczmarek, they are complaining about everything. Continue.
Correct. And I think it was early June of 23, Deb Conroy proposed that elections be removed from the clerk's office and that they form a commission again. And that's the elections had been under my office for one term.
And under your one term, I want, because I like to keep continuity. Under your one term, things had been successful.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes, but there was a matter of the bill paying issue.
Okay.
And the thing is, there didn't need to be a bill paying issue. We had done things the way we had done during the first term.
Okay.
And the bills were being paid.
Got it.
But then suddenly now things were changing and the bills were being paid. And she said that therefore we needed to move the elections away from the clerk's responsibility.
Okay. And so what is your reaction to this at that time?
Well, at that time, I was shocked because we just had one bill at that moment that had not been paid, and it certainly wasn't our fault. Mm-hmm. And we had turned it in, and it just was being blocked for various reasons in the finance office and the auditor's office. So that didn't happen. That didn't end up happening, but it's thrown out there. Yes.
So when do you get the call, the email, the text message that the machine that is, the powers that be, have decided that you are going to be primaried, even though you are, in my opinion, the reason Democrats are winning in DuPage? When does that happen, and how does that happen?
That happened on July 7th of last year.
Okay.
And that was an interesting day because my opponent, Paula Deacon Garcia, had announced her primary against me, and that was the same day that the state's attorney, Bob Berlin, had put in filed an order seeking to have me investigated by the Attorney General's office.
Interesting. Okay, so, and we've all seen this political movie before, so we know how this plays out. I'm just looking around the office, and we're all like, yeah, that tracks. And at this moment, how are you feeling? I don't, and not your thought process, because I understand what you're thinking. You're thinking, this is baloney. Got it. How are you feeling after you've dedicated so much time to these folks that have now kind of, at two brutai? How are you feeling?
How am I feeling?
Yes.
Well, I'm disappointed, of course.
Okay.
And I am concerned.
Okay.
I've been a watchdog, and that started over 20 years ago for the electoral process. And so I have a lot of knowledge and passion for elections. And my opponent had no background at all in elections and demonstrated no passion for it or real understanding of how everything works. And so I'm concerned.
Okay. So we're in July 7th, July 8th. You're concerned, but you have the facts and the data on your side. So now let's skip ahead to maybe a month or two before the election day. What's happening?
Well, during the entire 7 months during the campaign, my opponent, Paula Garcia, had a vicious smear campaign against me. And the cornerstone of that smear campaign was the investigation by the Attorney General's office. And so that was plastered all over her website, all of her walk pieces. It came up during all of the forums that we had. It came up frequently during speeches that she would give at the townships, and it was all over her social media too, of course.
Understood.
And the phrase that she liked to repeat again and again was, "Criminal charges are pending."
Got it. So
right.
Okay, so this is happening. You are keeping your head held high, and you're still believing that facts will win out, even though it sounds to me, and I was not there, but it sounds to me like you are up against a machine that is delegated and determined to remove you due to holding a county office where you are acting as a leader. Am I reading that the right way, or is that how?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
The entire controversy was manufactured by a few individuals.
Got it.
And there never really was a very big problem out there.
Okay.
In fact, we also have a lawsuit. The State's Attorney's Office first sued us, and then in turn we filed a lawsuit against the county.
Okay.
And now that's going before the appellate court right now.
Got it.
And all about the internal controls of our office and having our bills paid.
Because it's pending, we're going to skip over that part because I know enough about the law to know that. So now I want to skip ahead again. All of this is happening is the night before election. How are you feeling? What's going on? How are you doing?
Well, I'm feeling hopeful.
Okay.
And I was hopeful because I know that the Democrats that I know are critical thinkers, and I know that by the commentary that was put out there, that they understood perfectly what was going on in Washington and also in Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't realize is they didn't apply those critical thinking skills to what was happening in our own county.
Understood. So, needless to say, election night comes, and you were not successful in your reelection attempt, and this is my opinion, very unfortunate. What happens to the quote unquote lawsuit, criminal activity, like what happens with all of this not too long after the election is over?
Well, I know this is a shocker, but last week the investigation was called off, and they said that they didn't find that I broke the law.
Interesting. And
about a month after the election, this is when this was found out. And so it was kept alive during the entire campaign.
And this is, the reason, because I've read this story and it's incredibly troublesome, but I think it's so important, especially for we as liberals. Because I know there are folks that are, I hate to distinguish it, but there are our establishment Democrats, and then there's us liberals who we believe in right over wrong versus falling in line. And that's typically where we divide ourselves. I have been a proponent of political machines my whole life. I think that they are evil. And I do think that they keep out good progressive candidates that want to keep good progressive policies moving. I want to personally thank you for the work that you've done, not just in DuPage County, but across our country, because if not for the work that you've put in, so many folks wouldn't get elected and be able to enforce change. So number one, thank you for that. Number two, I want to thank you for sharing your story, because when folks are up against the machine, they don't understand exactly how it operates. And hearing all of your facts, all of your numbers, help to understand the exact demon that we are against in our elections and why primary elections are so important. So, Clerk Kaczmarek, I want to thank you for your work. I want to thank you for your service to democracy. And I want to thank you for your honesty and transparency, which is lacking in those around you. But thank you for being a leader, and you are much appreciated. I want you to have a wonderful day. And guys, we will be right back after this break to continue talking.
In 1776, we defied a corrupt king, and the America we love was born from that defiance. Now it's time to do it again. America is in crisis, but patriots across the country are standing up to save her for ourselves and our posterity. Show your support with the No King's lapel pin, a 1-inch by 1-inch standard American flag lapel pin embedded with our No King symbol. So much better than that tacky red hat. It's a subtle but powerful way to say you've had enough of wannabe dictators and you're doing something about it. Every day, keep our movement going by wearing this pin that clearly says what freedom-loving Americans are thinking. There are no kings in America, and there never will be. Go to store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Get your No Kings lapel pin now.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. On March 25th, 1911, in Manhattan, a fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory killed 146 workers, who were mostly women. The victims of the fire were unable to leave the burning high-rise building due to the exits being locked and were forced to leap to their deaths from the 8th, 9th, and 10th floors. Locking doors was a common practice to reduce theft and unauthorized breaks at workplaces. As a result of the fire, the New York State Legislature formed the Factory Investigating Commission, whose findings led to 38 new laws regulating labor. Some of the new laws mandated better egress, the installation of better alarm and sprinkler systems, and increased availability of fire extinguishers. Coincidentally, the American Society of Safety Professionals was formed, which now manages, researches, and consults occupational safety and health across 75 countries. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We are working for your rights.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying, where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes, so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The Federal Reserve has left its key interest rate unchanged for a third straight meeting, but Sagar Meghani reports that was not the biggest news from Chairman Jerome Powell today.
13 in favor and 11 opposed.
Hours after the Senate Banking Committee sent Kevin Warsh's nomination as the next Fed chair to the full Senate.
After my term as chair ends on May 15, I will continue to serve as a governor for a period of time to be determined.
That has not happened in nearly 80 years, but Powell citing what he calls unprecedented legal attacks on the Fed.
I worry that these attacks are battering the institution and putting at risk the thing that really matters to the public.
The Fed's independence from political pressure.
I think it's at risk.
His decision prevents President Trump from filling a seat on the Fed board. Powell's term ends in January 2028.
And I will leave when I think it's appropriate to do so.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
More jumps for oil prices, along with hints that some Fed officials don't want to cut interest rates anytime soon, sent tremors through the bond.
Democrat Adam Smith, Hegseth insisted the U.S. obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities last year.
We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions.
Hegseth says lawmakers criticizing the war pose a big challenge to the military.
The biggest adversary we face at this point.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The Supreme Court's conservative majority ruled a majority black congressional district in Louisiana relied too heavily on race. This is Georgia Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock.
This Trump Supreme Court just threw out the protections that were earned by the civil rights movement.
Oil prices keep moving higher because of the Iran war. This is AP News. The AP's Julie Walker reports King Charles and Queen Camilla are in New York.
Here at the National 9/11 Memorial, honoring victims of the attacks. Charles and Camilla are on a closely watched diplomatic trip to the U.S., marking the 250th anniversary of the country declaring independence from England. The king laying a bouquet of white flowers here at the memorial reflecting pool with a note, and the royal couple meeting with 9/11 first responders and victims' families. Also, as part of the trip, Camilla visits the New York Public Library, where she'll deliver a Roo doll for the library's collection of Winnie the Pooh stuffed animals, as the children's character turns 100. Charles goes to a nonprofit in Harlem doing community work. The royal couple also attends a reception at Rockefeller Center for a charity Charles founded supporting young people, the King's Trust. In Lower Manhattan at the 9/11 Memorial, I'm Julie Walker.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. A few showers early tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low near 40 and northwest winds at 5 to 15. Thursday, sunny with a high temperature of 51 and north winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Friday, sunshine, 49 for the high temperature. Saturday, lots of sun and a high temperature of 51 degrees. Sunday, slight chance of showers with a high temperature of 65. Monday, showers and a high of 68. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 50.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Now back to Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT 820.
Live, local, and progressive, Ken Mejia-Beal is here. And I want to once again thank you for listening to WCPT 820 AM for your progressive talk, Heartland Signal. And we would be nothing without fair trade. And I am very excited to bring on our next guest to talk about Chicago fair trade, Katherine Bissell Córdova. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Katherine, did I?
Very close.
Okay. I got excited.
it's the first two are good. The last one is just Córdova.
Oh,
But
okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
But so close.
I try. My last name's Mejia, and I've been called Mejia so many times.
No, that's kind of painful. But yeah.
It's horrible. How are you doing today?
I am good. I'm busy preparing for this weekend, but we'll get to that.
Yes,
How
we
you?
are. I'm doing great, and I'm excited to talk about what's happening this weekend, Saturday, May 2nd, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You guys are hosting the World Fair Trade Day, correct?
Correct. The World Fair Trade Day Festival.
Festival. Tell me about it, please.
Sure. So this is the 20th year that Chicago Fair Trade will be hosting a World Fair Trade Day celebration.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And we're, joined by, it's a global celebration. It's people are celebrating in early May in over 100 countries, and over 100,000 people partake. But the one, yes, we do here in Chicago is the biggest. And so it's just a day to really lift up and celebrate all that fair trade stands for. And I would imagine many of your listeners know this, but just so we're all on the same page.
Please tell
us. Sure, absolutely. Fair trade, it's a business model that ensures the people who grow, sow, and craft the things we use every day are treated with dignity, are paid fairly and promptly, that they work in safe working places, and that there's environmentally responsible production methods. It also means community development, because part of the funds raised through fair trade go to community projects. So it's not just about the makers, but everyone in their communities. And it's very basic. Fair trade also means no child labor, no slave labor. But it's also a movement. So it's a business model, but it's also a movement. So we're really, really big here in Chicago in trying to grow the fair trade movement, and allow people to, have their everyday purchases, align with their values, and to use their money, the way we spend our money. And we do that a lot in this country. We're the biggest consumer country ever in the history of the world. And so we can use our money to support all that I just shared with you.
Yes.
Or use it for, exploitative, extractive economy. And so it's really a choice we all have.
And not we all, I shouldn't speculate, but most of us can see exactly what happens when trade is not fair. And something you mentioned a little bit earlier was fair pay, which we all get prompt pay, or timely pay. There have been so many, and I think it slips under folks not getting paid on time, and the hill that you have to climb back up to kind of break even from it. I don't think a lot of folks grasp how hard it is when you're not paid on time.
It's crazy. And I mean, and it's, I feel that mostly, and don't get me wrong, I've worked also here I used to be executive director of Arise, which works with people who are typically very exploited, undocumented workers here. And they're often, wage theft, and that is quite rampant. But most people, I think, in the United States, you expect you're going to be paid on time,
Yes.
But it's so common to not be, in so many parts of the world. And, and the people that aren't being paid in a timely fashion are usually, people that are working for low wages and, can't afford, they can't go a week without payment. That means not being able to eat. So prompt payment. And actually within a fair trade model, a lot of times, also, fair trade business owners and these cooperatives, they'll buy the material, they'll pay for the materials up front. So, and you'll get some of the money up front. So then you can continue, you can carry out the work you need to carry out.
That's awesome.
Always being behind and chasing after something.
And there's a lot of reasons why fair trade are important. But why is Chicago the kind of the home of this?
Yeah, Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I like to think, historically, if you look back, Chicago is the birthplace of the modern labor movement. We're recognized all around the world on May Day. And it is becoming a bigger deal in this country, which makes me happy. But for so many years, we have Labor Day in September, and May Day isn't such a big deal here, but it's huge in the rest of the world. So Chicago holds a very special place and is known throughout the world for being a place that takes workers' rights seriously. So we think it makes sense. But also, so Chicago Fair Trade, our organization this year, we're 20 years old.
Yes.
We're the largest and most active grassroots fair trade coalition in the U.S. We actually mentor like Fair Trade LA, and we have helped mentor Fair Trade, New York Fair
That's
Trade.
awesome.
Yeah, we like to think so. So our organization, it's me on staff, plus we have Erica, who's my other coworker. We have some temporary staff different times of the year, but we have two of us working on this all year round, and Fair Trade LA has one half-time staff, but the rest are all volunteer run. So, we're small, but we're big for what we
Sounds
do.
like it.
And because of that, when you have a staffed organization, you're allowed to, you can achieve more. It's harder when it's all volunteer run. But so because we're staffed, for 20 years now, we've been hosting a World Fair Trade Day event. We also, I think in large part because of the organization and having this kind of vehicle that brings together people interested in fair trade, Chicago's home is the epicenter of the fair trade movement. We have more fair trade businesses than anywhere else in the U.S. in the Chicagoland area.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I know, and most people do not know that. So I always like to share that. And we're Chicago proud here. Our business membership, when we started 20 years ago, we had 3 business members.
Okay.
And we now have 60.
Wow.
And a lot of that, I think, is just, people see that it's something you can be and you can do. So having, a cluster of fair trade businesses spurs more fair trade businesses. So we also, the festival is going to be held at our museum, and we did open 2 years ago. We opened the world's first and still only fair trade museum here in Uptown. So that's why it's taking place in Chicago.
So, for those who don't know, Uptown is one of the coolest places in Chicago. So it really is a great place to go and visit and have a museum. But something else I want to touch on, much to the credit of the Chicago Fair Trade, is when we think about time, excuse me, I don't think folks realize how much trade has changed over the last 20 years. And the fact that you guys are still here and still it's a much bigger thing than I think we can even put into words, because the last 20 years have been not very kind to just the economic market in general. Has been rough.
It has been. I'll tell you, our business members, and these are people who work so hard, and their first instinct with all of them. I mean, they need to be sustainable, real business models that work, right? You can't exist if you're not. But for example, when COVID hit, their first concern was making sure that their fair trade partners in other parts of the world that were hit harder than we were, were fed, had rice, had water, they just pivoted to just making sure that they survived their fair trade partners, and they want their businesses to be successful, but they're always trying to see how they can create more work for more people and help lift more people out of poverty, rather than just seeing that they can enrich themselves. And so, but they've been hit so hard, the tariffs this past year. And then finally, the Supreme Court ruled on the tariffs, and then the war broke out. Now, a lot of them, aren't getting shipments. And which is, anyhow, it's not an easy business model.
And that's what I mean. The last 20 years have been, and it's hard to, especially now, to navigate, because we're in waters that I'm sure you have not ever been in. How are you guys navigating right now in this moment?
Well, we're actually, it's feeling quite inspired that I feel like in the past few years too, especially like in the past couple of years, but even with, starting with COVID and Black Lives Matter, I mean, people are a lot more thoughtful and kind of like, hey, wait a minute, like what, people are starting to think a lot more about their consumption habits, and people are getting more and more angry, and I think justifiably. So, at big box companies, at Amazon, at these companies that, we've been railing against for years, this kind of business practices. And it is now more and more people are thinking about it, especially Gen Zers.
Yes.
Like we're really like now it's especially we do a lot around I'm getting a little off the subject of our
keep going.
festival, but we do a lot around fast fashion. And trying to get people to break up with fast fashion. We have big clothing swaps. We have them twice a year. We had an epic clothing swap 2 weekends ago. And I was just reading, it's like Gen Zers, they over half of them are like reselling their clothes.
That's amazing.
And so they're thinking about it. They're so into it. They're so into it. And so they're also thinking too, like, oh, well, if I buy something, I want it to be quality so that I can resell it. So Gen Zers are really, and Gen Zers too, I mean, they've grown up with a computer in their pocket, right?
Yes.
So they do want to know where things come from. They do kind of expect now that their purchase, I mean,
and they want to
still do shop and do
of course
and whatever, but there's a growing number of them, much more so than previous generations. I think,
they want to keep
thinking about it.
They want to keep their stuff longer, which I can appreciate.
Yes.
Katherine, we are going to take a break, but I want to keep you because our next part of the conversation, I want to talk directly about this festival. I want to talk about the museum. I want to talk about Uptown. I want to talk about it all. So stay with us, Katherine. Guys, we will be right back to talk about the festival that we all need to attend on May 2nd.
When it comes to banking, you need a bank you can trust. A bank with a rock-solid reputation and the highest integrity. A bank that gives you the attention and respect you deserve.
ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922, and we've made our name on deep expertise, best-in-class service, and a strong commitment to our customers. We know the Chicago business market inside and out and can help you craft the perfect banking solution, no matter what type of business you're in.
And if you're looking for a banking partner for your labor union, we can bring the type of expertise that only comes from a bank that was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders to this day.
Whether you need a deposit account, loan, trust services, or investment management, ABOC has you covered. Let's work together to manage your finances today while planning for a better tomorrow. ABOC, a bank built on a strong foundation.
Visit aboc.com to learn more. Member FDIC.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moretlawoffice.com, spelled Moree. I look forward to speaking with you.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Looking to purchase a new home? Then you need to do what Joan Esposito did and call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Don, trucker, 30, married to Mary, teacher's aide, 29, 2 kids, combined income $125,000 a year. Called Team Hochberg to secure a mortgage on their first home. David answered all their questions, explained the funds required for a down payment and closing costs, and introduced them to an experienced realtor. Let's review. David answered Don and Mary's questions, introduced them to a realtor, and helped them secure a mortgage on their new home with a backyard they can build everlasting memories. If you're purchasing a new home and would like the same outstanding service as Don and Mary, call David now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hawkbird helped Joan and thousands of WCPT listeners, but he can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Don't take my word for it. Check out Team Hawkbird's over 700 5-star Google reviews. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 643114.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Every weekday afternoon from 2 to 5 p.m. on WCPT 820.
Live, local, progressive, and he's here, Ken Mejia-Beal. And I am talking to Katherine, our executive director of Chicago Fair Trade, and we're going to be talking about the festival that is happening May 2nd, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Chicago Fair Trade Museum in Uptown. So, Katherine, what can we expect from this event?
Sure. Lots going on. We were going to have different tastings. So we're going to kick it off at 11 a.m. with a coffee tasting called Let's Spill the Beans. And we'll be Andrea Wolverton, who lives in Nicaragua, is here is in town for it. Yeah, she has an amazing coffee company who we partner with, and we sell their coffees, Twin Engine Coffee.
Okay.
Which is premium coffee. She's also fascinating. She's got her PhD in agroeconomics, basically coffee. I've never met anyone who knows more about coffee. And she's doing something really interesting in Nicaragua, where they actually roast the coffee there, which is one of two coffee companies we that we know of in the world that actually roasts in country rather than them exporting the beans while they're still green. Which means that like 80 cents of the coffee dollar stays in Nicaragua versus 20 cents for other coffees. So it's a really interesting model, and it's fabulous coffee. So she's fascinating. So she goes on first,
and then is Twin Engine Coffee.
Twin Engine Coffee.
I'm writing it down because I'm addicted to coffee, and you just made me want to get some.
This. It's really good.
I am. I wrote it down. Continue. I apologize.
Come on over. That's all right. So that's going to go for about an hour. Then at 12:30, this is with the Ethics of Z's, which we're going to have a local fair trade superstar. His name is Carl Shevik, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Earth Foam, which is a organic fair trade bedding company. So they make mattresses over by the Leaning Tower. Like they're over on Toohey Avenue in Niles.
Yes.
The tower. But so Carl, when he decided to start this brand, he was looking around and he just was not that pleased with the supply chains he found. So he ended up working with and creating a supply chain, working with 1,300 latex farmers in Sri Lanka that have a fair trade certified supply chain for this premium bedding. And so we're actually going to have one of the beds here, and Earth Foam, we just can't speak highly enough about them. Their bedding is fabulous. It's such a good fair trade product. And they also have donated a bed we're having a sweepstakes, which anyone can go online. It's $10 and you can get an entry, and you have a lot better chance of winning this than the lotto. And someone will win a bed valued up to $3,800.
Oh, that's a nice bed.
From Earth Foam. Yeah, it's a really nice bed.
And the raffle tickets are online, $10.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep.
Okay.
And then after that, we're going to have a panel discussion where both Andrea and Carl, who I just mentioned, plus the next two presenters afterwards, which I'll get to, will all be talking about different business models. We've got co-ops, fair trade businesses, different models, but all ethical. So that's going on from 2 to 3:30. Then at 4 o'clock, we're very excited to have Carmel Abu Farha here from Palestine. And he works with Canaan Palestine, which is a fair trade cooperative, working with over 1,000 farmers in over 70 villages in Palestine, producing the best olive oil, as well as za'atar, different spices, some tapenades. So we're very fortunate. They just have come out with a documentary that was just part of the Palestinian Film Festival.
Oh, very cool.
it's winning all sorts of awards. It's a beautiful documentary about these Palestinian farmers. And so he is in the US and he's coming to Chicago for our event. So we'll be sampling fair trade olive oils as well as other things, and hearing the story, which is an amazing story of all that they are able to do and achieve in very difficult circumstances. But yeah, it's really life-changing what they've been doing. Talking about that, I mean, I just saw the documentary, and they're talking to these olive oil farmers who've been olive oil farmers for generations, but talking about how before they'd be told, well, you'll be paid in 3 months, you'll be paid in 4 months, you'll be paid in 5, and it never, No. And now with the fair trade, they're 20 years old, and they now make a living wage.
That is an amazing story.
The most amazing olive oil. Yeah. And then, so that's from 4 to 5. And, in between, we're going to have, we've got a spinning wheel and giveaways and fair trade prizes and quizzes, all sorts of things. At 5:30, we're very excited to host then Justice on the Rocks, which is a rum tasting with Danielle Reguera, who is the co-founder of Chicago Cane Cooperative, which is a worker-owned distillery making fantastic rum. And so we're going to hear about the history of talk some about the history of rum, which the history of rum is a very linked to slavery, very, very rough history. But so Danielle and some of his co-op members and friends who started this co-op decided they just wanted to turn that upside down its head and do rum the right way. And they make absolutely delicious rum. So we'll have rum cocktails and we've got a lot going on and it's free.
Okay, so all of these wonderful things, you show up, and what I'm really loving about it's not just the product, it's the story.
Exactly.
It's the story behind it, and it's the I don't think folks realize how hard it is for businesses to thrive and survive. And I think what you're doing is wonderful by showcasing these kind of different industries and how they work and how and just how important fair trade is. So that is wonderful. My question for you now is, will there be any collaboration between the coffee and the rum? Because that sounds amazing.
Now that you mention it, we could, we're very into collabs. So we could, they'll meet. I'm excited for all these folks to meet each other because they're all just amazing, amazing human beings doing such hard and good work. But I like that. I like it.
Yes. And I want to ask a little bit about another question about the festival. What makes this festival a little bit different than, when folks say, I do this all the time? What makes this one different? Like, you got to get there. What makes it, besides everything you just listed, but what makes it like you got to go May 2nd?
Well, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to shop. It's fun to sample, right? But I think it's really cool when you get to learn about the products, just like you said. Like, it's not, you don't always get to do that. I mean, you do at a farmer's market or something like this, but this is, what a range of products. We have from coffee to rum to a bed to, olive oil. And you also get to see it in this setting, which is, I'm biased. We opened it, but our museum's just a really lovely setting. It's a very, and whenever we have fair trade events, it's like people are exchanging phone numbers.
I believe it.
People become friends. It's a very, I like it because, I've worked in social justice movements my whole life and I'm old, but, it's a very warm and welcoming crowd where we're not trying to make people feel guilty for what they're doing. We realize the system is really screwed up.
It is.
This whole consumption, overconsumption, just buy everything at the cheapest price and just blindly consume, that's the problem. It's not, we all live in this society where it's, this is beaten into our heads and, we're just constantly being thrown like consume, and you need this to feel good. And But so we're very big on like, let's make it joyful to kind of break out of that.
Yes.
And have human connections and think about, where the people who make, just and really see our interconnectedness. So it's always a really great group of people that are, we'll get some people here who've never heard of fair trade, and that's great. We always say the fair trade curious are welcome.
Yes.
And then we'll get people that are experts that I've seen registering that are coming that will, so there'll be a whole wide range of kind of conversation.
It's the perfect blend, just like the coffee.
Exactly.
Before I let you go, though, can you tell our listeners that website so they can buy that $10 ticket to partake in this raffle, please?
Yeah. Well, and anyone can come for free if you can donate. Yeah.
Yes,
you can
donate all of it.
If you can donate $10, you get entered into the raffle, the sweepstakes, as we call it. Unlimited entries. You can go to our website, which is www.chicagofairtrade.org. Or better yet, come by the museum. It's at 4704 North Broadway in Uptown. And as you said, it goes from 11 to 7, but it's kind of like, and if you want to just, if one of the sessions sounds great to you and you only have a couple hours, come to that. If you want to make a whole fair trade day out of it, come all day. We'll be here, and we're big on snacks. We're going to have fair trade snacks and beverages throughout the whole day.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I show up for the snacks, the coffee, the rum, the sleep, the camaraderie, the community. Thank you so much, Katherine. I cannot wait to check out more of the Chicago Fair Trade this weekend, May 2nd. Thank you for joining the show. Have a wonderful day. You're welcome.
It. Okay, bye-bye.
And we'll be right back.
Have you ever stopped and thought about how fast life moves? From childhood to careers to building a family? Before you know it, you're thinking about what really matters. At Total Dentistry, we've been part of that journey for over 30 years, caring for families, building relationships, and yes, creating confident, healthy smiles. While a lot has changed, technology, our team, even our space, one thing hasn't. We want to be the reason someone smiles. And now that mission is growing. For over a decade, our family has supported Sun Life Ministries in Honduras. This year, we're taking the next step, helping to bring dental care to communities that don't have it. Because a smile isn't just cosmetic. It's confidence, it's dignity, it's life-changing. So if you're looking for a dental practice that truly cares for you, your family, and beyond, look no further. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other. Call 847-358-2477 or visit totaldentistry.org.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener, like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV, but if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to you at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
I'm Jessica Ettinger, CNBC. Wall Street was mixed this afternoon. The Fed held interest rates steady, and Fed Chair Jay Powell, who steps down as chairman, says he'll stay as a board governor, which is his prerogative. The Dow was down 280 points today. Boeing shares led it lower. They were down more than 2%. The S&P 500 index lost 2 points. The NASDAQ was in the green by 9 points. Shares of NVIDIA were lower, down almost 2% this afternoon. The Super Bowl of earnings reports. Google parent Alphabet shares were higher after hours on better than expected quarterly results. Microsoft shares basically unchanged to a little bit higher after hours. Investors were combing through that quarterly report. Amazon with some disappointment with its quarterly results. Its guidance came in softer than investors were hoping for. And Facebook and Instagram parent Meta shares tanked after hours. Jessica Ettinger, CNBC.
Hear the CNBC business updates each weekday at 9:30, 12:30, and 4:30. Now your WCPT 820 Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. A few showers early tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low near 40 and northwest winds at 5 to 15. Thursday, sunny with a high temperature of 51 and north winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Friday, sunshine, 49 for the high temperature. Saturday, lots of sun and a high temperature of 51 degrees. Sunday, slight chance of showers with a high temperature of 65. Monday, showers and a high of 68. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 50.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Don't turn that dial. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, returns right now.
A fair balance where the facts come out.
On WCPT 820.
Live, local, progressive. And my name is Ken Mejia-Beal, and I forgot it for a moment, but we have a great guest whose name you will not forget. If you are not subscribed to his Substack, Let's Address This, I want you to write it down, type it to yourself, make a note, subscribe to Let's Address This. It answers so many questions, and it provides real insight into complex issues that are hard to describe, are hard to formulate, are hard to wrap your mind around. I want to bring on there's so many words to describe him. He's a great friend. He is the best person to have coffee with in the morning. But more importantly, he connects the human aspect to politics and policies. And his name is Qasim Rashid. Hello, sir. How are you?
Brother Ken, I am well. How are you?
I am doing great, sir. Thank you for joining us today. I do have a question for you that came from one of our listeners earlier in the program, if you don't mind me asking. Her name is...
Wow, already, great.
Yeah, Cynthia. She had a very good question for me, and I said, I'm not the person to ask that question to. She wants to know if Democrats, we do get Congress, can we expand the Supreme Court? Can we get rid of Pete Hegseth? Can we undo the Trump policies? Can we do it all in one fell swoop? How do we make it happen? And I'll put a period in that and let you take it from there.
Lose hope of what the future what's possible in the future. The future is unwritten. We cannot lose hope. The question really is going to be, are we going to elect people who have the courage to act with that conviction? And so before I directly answer Cynthia's question, I just want to remind that, since the 1990s, 3 separate times Democrats have had the trifecta, meaning they controlled the House, the Senate, and had the White House. Mm-hmm. And they've basically squandered every single opportunity, in my opinion. Bill Clinton used his trifecta to pass the crime bill and to gut welfare, and try to be more centrist. Obama used his trifecta to pass the ACA while gutting the public option. And Biden used his trifecta to pass an infrastructure bill, but didn't pass, which was great, and a CHIPS Act, which was great, but then gutted the Build Back Better program, which was his landmark piece of legislation that he ran on, did not codify Roe, did not protect voting rights, did not pass H.R. 1, and the list goes on and on. Mm-hmm. And so to Cynthia's question, things like expanding the Supreme Court, things like impeaching Hegseth or removing him, subpoena power, the power of the purse, these are all there. But we need folks who are going to actually fight and act. And right now, I'm not confident. I'll give you just one example.
Sure.
Kevin Warsh is who Trump's new pick for Fed chair is right now. And this is a guy who should be the furthest thing from a competent person, the Fed chair. He was part of the 2008 collapse. His family, people don't realize, is the one pushing Trump to invade and take over Greenland. This is a guy who, by the way, refused to acknowledge that Joe Biden won the 2020 election in his Senate hearings. This is a guy who appears in the Epstein files. Despite that, despite that, Democratic members of Congress like Bill Foster put out a press release saying, I have an open mind to Kevin. I think he'd be a good guy for this role. And so when Democrats look at a guy in the Epstein files, and Bill Foster specifically looks at the guy in the Epstein files and says, you know what, I may be the only physicist in Congress, but Epstein files and pedophilia is not a deal breaker for me. That's a problem. And so that's where I have concern that we need to have actual leaders with a spine and a moral compass. I'm hopeful when I see, these fiery young leaders coming up like Summer Lee and Ayanna Pressley and, the Delia Ramirez, list goes on.
Yeah.
But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take people with a fire in the belly and a conviction and a moral compass to make it happen.
I want to have a real conversation with you. I kind of had some prepared stuff, but, you know me and I know you, and I will tell you this. I have hope, but I've become so disenchanted with so many of our Democrats. I'm using bunny ears, Democrats who won't do anything. They are so afraid to create chaos. They're so afraid I don't know what they're afraid of, to be honest with you. How do we get more progressives in office? What do we need to do? How do we shake the system? Because the stuff you're listing, for example, no Democrat on this planet should be opening their mouth to consider anybody on the Epstein list for anything except a prison term.
Correct.
Where's the disconnect?
For some, I'm pick on Bill Foster again because we're talking about him.
No, go for
I don't
it.
think he's afraid. I think he genuinely doesn't care that this person could be a pedophile. I just don't think it's a deal breaker for him. I think he genuinely doesn't care that this person denies the 2020 election. I mean, what's the other alternative, right? I mean, the other alternative is either he's that incompetent that he doesn't realize that he's praising a guy who denies the election, collapsed our economy and is in the Epstein files. Either he's super incompetent or he's super calloused. So I don't think it's fear.
Okay.
I think the scarier version is that this isn't a deal breaker for him. And he is a man who's worth tens of millions of dollars. He's just another fellow rich white man worth tens of millions of dollars and thinks, you know what? That's the guy who's going to represent me in the Fed. That's what I want. And that's a problem. So to answer your question, we need to get more working class folks in Congress. The average member of Congress is a multimillionaire. That's not the average American. Average American's worth, is bringing home, $53,000 a year if they're lucky in this economy. A recent study showed that more than 60% of Americans don't have enough to achieve basic living expenses, which is an atrocity in the wealthiest country in the history of humanity.
Okay.
And practically speaking, there's ways to do that. One, I encourage everyone to be hyper involved on their local level. You should be attending your city council meetings. You should be attending your school board meetings. And people are probably wondering, well, what is attending going to do? You'd be shocked. I promise you, if you show up for just 6 months, you will be shocked at how engaged and involved you will be in local politics, and you'll have a much better understanding of where you can have an impact. Two, there are organizations working effectively in Democratic primaries, like the Working Families Party, who has a brilliant model where they go into deep blue seats where the winner is going to be a Democrat no matter what in November and say, hey, it's not just vote blue no matter who, it's let's vote for the right Democrat.
Correct.
And so they will put their resources behind the right Democrat. And one great example of that is Letitia James, the AG of New York, who convicted Trump. She was a Working Families Party candidate. Another great example of that is Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City. And so they're running 1,000 candidates this year. And so if you're in a deep blue seat and you want to know if your Democrat is somebody who's an actual Democrat, like a Delia Ramirez, or somebody who is okay with people doing the Epstein files like Bill Foster, then you can be involved and play a meaningful role. And then three, and I think this is the most important part, consider running for office yourself. It's easier said than done. I've done it before. It's extremely difficult, but you don't need to run for president. You don't need to run for Senate, for governor. Run for school board. Run for city council. Run for local park district. Just be involved. Run for precinct captain, but just be involved in a meaningful way. And I promise you, if you just commit to it for 6 months to a year, you're going to see a seismic impact in your life and in the circle that you immediately influence.
Well, I want to touch back on something that we talked about a little bit before we spoke with you, and it's a problem that you and I have talked about privately, is political machines. And it is hard. And you and I have both run, and we've both been diametrically opposed by the political machine. It is difficult, but not only is it difficult, it's unfair. Because then you run into the smears, and you run into the lies, and you run into... And the sad thing is we live in a country where so many folks say, well, that's politics. And I always say that's BS. That's not politics. Politics is having opposing views. Politics is not you splashing my face on a mailer with lies. How can we get folks that are progressive, that are deserving of leadership into this circus, if you will, knowing that just what the machines are capable of? What kind of community can we build for them?
Okay, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And that infrastructure involves getting engaged in a local community. It involves building out your network, your organizing network, your communication platform. I saw a question and answer session with Mayor Zoran Mamdani a couple of days ago, and the person asking the question said, Mayor, 2 years ago, nobody in this room had any idea who you were, and you could walk down the street and nobody would have even given you a second look. And now you're the mayor of the largest city in the country, one of the largest cities of the world, and you can't even step outside without being, bombarded with like high fives and people calling out your name. And that didn't happen with a blink of an eye. No. People forget that, a year before his election, Zoran Mamdani was out in the street talking to people. He went actually after the 2024 election, he looked at the maps and saw where was the biggest rightward shift. And he spent the next several weeks out in those areas simply asking people, hey, why did you switch your vote to Republican this time? Just to understand. And then his whole model that he built in terms of the free buses and the free childcare and the city-run grocery stores and, freezing the rent, these were all the results of his thousands of conversations with people on the ground. And that combined with the network he had built of other, local electeds and organizers, that was his campaign. And so when he got attacked for wanting free buses, when he got attacked for wanting free childcare, he knew that the people attacking him were also attacking the thousands of voters who told him that's what they want to make the city better and more affordable. And when he doubled down and leaned in and said, I'm not going to back down from this, people trusted that this man really is a man of conviction. And so, the machine that exists right now, whether we love it or hate it, it's what exists because they have spent time building that infrastructure. And so it's up to us, those who are committed to justice and to meaningful representation of working people, to build a better infrastructure. And I think you're doing that. I'm doing that. My human rights newsletter, Let's Address This, focuses on having a communications model. This is how we build it. It doesn't happen overnight. We live in a clickbait culture. We want a quick retweet or an Instagram like. It doesn't happen that way. But that's where the consistency pays off, and you begin to see results. Really, we're not talking 10 years for results. You will see results in 6 months to a year if you're consistent with this.
Can I keep you for a couple minutes? Because I want to focus a little bit on Let's Address This. To talk about some of the stuff you've written about. We're going to take a quick break. I will be right back, and we're going to talk about it. Don't go anywhere.
Wendy's new Biggie Deals lets you choose whatever you're in the mood for. It's like a music mixing board of deals, and you're the producer. Go with some chill folk music with a JBC in the $4 Biggie Bite snack. Try the drum and bass of deals with a double stack in the $6 Biggie bag. Or go full-on sandwich symphony with an $8 Biggie bundle, the grand finale of snacking. And the best part? They all come with napkins. $4, $6, and $8 Biggie Deals how you want them at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Now back to Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT 820.
I am live, I am local, I am progressive, but I am not Joan. I am Ken Mejia-Beal, and we are having a great discussion with Let's Address This Substack. Where are my words are not happening. Substack writer Qasim like, oh my God, what is happening to me? I talk to you all every day. What is happening to me? Sorry, Qasim.
You're good.
I'm not good. What is
I got you.
What's happening?
It's almost 5 p.m. It happens to me every day. I'm drinking a Celsius right now, because if I didn't drink a Celsius, I would be dead right now. So I got you.
I just got back from Florida at 1 a.m. It's all catching up with me right now. But let's address this. Number one, where can folks sign up?
Just my website, just my name, QasimRashid.com. If you just visit there, you can subscribe. I don't have any paywall. I refuse to have paywalls, because I think that, when you write about things like human rights, social justice, you can't, I can't go to you and say, hey, your human rights are under threat, and if you give me $5 a month, I'll tell you why. That just seems so salty to me. So we will never have a paywall. I can promise you that. If you do want to be a paid subscriber, you're more than welcome to join as a paid subscriber. It gets you no special access except knowing that you're supporting a human rights lawyer who is fighting the good fight.
And what I love about the stuff that you put out there is not complicated. Complex, yes. Complicated, no. It's easy to follow. How do you make such complicated issues so simple?
Well, I think that's part of my frustration with what led me to start Let's Address It. I started it 2 years ago, and we're now at nearly 200,000 subscribers. We have more than 2 million readers per month. And I looked at kind of the landscape of national media, and I reckon, there's a Gallup poll that's devastating that shows that only 28% of Americans trust national media. And you and I are about the same age. So you remember in the early 2000s when local media was a big thing.
Yep.
Local media has been decimated by 75% since the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to build a platform that was kind of like the Wikipedia of human rights content, where if you want to talk about racial justice, economic justice, the Equality Act, the ERA, our free speech rights, it's all in one spot. And most importantly, it's accessible and easy to understand. I think one frustration a lot of people have with politicians is that they talk in these platitudes and these big sophisticated words, but they don't make it accessible to the average person who's busy and has a million things going on.
Correct.
And then they don't provide action items. They don't okay, so you've identified the problem, my hair is on fire, and how do I put it out? And so my vision was to build something that takes these really, complicated things and breaks it down into accessible bits of information. I don't say dumb it down, because I'm not dumbing anything down. I'm just making it accessible.
Correct.
And then just as important, provide meaningful calls to action. Who do I call to lodge a complaint? Where do I show up for a protest? What petition do I sign? Who do I donate to? What cause do I get involved with? And it's been so extraordinarily effective. I mean, the response we get to petitions and to events and to policies has been outstanding. And so the only reason you should subscribe is if you're looking for reliable, trustworthy, accessible content that's going to not insult your intelligence, but more importantly, give you meaningful calls to action to channel that rage into something productive.
And that's what, and I say this as someone who follows you. And as someone who follows you and someone that respects you and the work that you do, there's never been a moment where I've read anything of yours or done watched anything of yours, and the takeaway is nothing. And that's one of my big pet peeves of folks that complain. Okay, but what do I do? I want to fix something. I want to change something. So I know this is probably not the question you were expecting, because I've totally ripped up the script. What will it take for you to run for office again? I'm sorry, I just really put you on the spot. You can call me and yell at me later.
No, not that I would love for you. I wouldn't say anything private that I wouldn't say publicly.
I know.
I never say never, but I'll tell you right now, I'm really enjoying building out this platform. We've also hired a state director, Dylan Blaha, to lead Let's Address Illinois. So whereas my platform focuses more national and sometimes Illinois, Dylan is going to be leading our Illinois chapter. We also hired somebody in Texas, so we're making hires in other states as well. And it's amazing because now we're able to talk on a hyper-local level as well. Remember how I said earlier that 75% of local media has been decimated?
Yes.
My goal here is to build out a model so that all 50 states have coverage eventually. And that starts one state at a time. And so far, you know, we're doing well. So I'll tell you, if we ever get to a place where this is an industry, a media-wide industry, then yeah, maybe I'll run for office at that point in time.
Okay.
But right now, I'm really enjoying building this, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Well, and I know Dylan ran for Congress. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
I followed his campaign. He is the perfect person for this job. And you know what I love about you and Delia, and you know there's a host of other people I could list right now. Mike Simmons, state senator, is you say what you mean and you mean what you say, and you actually give a damn about the people you're saying it to. And
we're trying to, man. I mean, we're trying.
No, and I was talking to someone privately, and they said, well, Ken, when you were doing this, it looked like this, but now this other person is doing it. And I said, well, that other person is not burdened with integrities and values and morals. Like, people like us have to move differently because it's heavier, because we're burdened by truth, honesty, value, integrity. You know, we have things. If you're just trying to win an election and get people's money, it's not that hard. So I just want to thank you for not being a snake oil salesman. I want to thank you for being a person of integrity. And I want to thank you for being someone that I think everyone should be following on Substack. Let's address this. Don't ever change.
Thank you, brother. Much love to you, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. And follow Qasim when you can on Let's Address This. And thank you. Good night. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to talk to you guys directly before I go, because we're almost out of time. I do want to thank you so much for tuning in this evening and giving Ken Mejia-Beal a chance. Please check out youth-outlook.org. We do a lot of great work for LGBTQ youth. And you just have to remember, and I stress this a lot, I want you to imagine being hated. And then I want you to imagine being erased. And that is what our trans kids are facing. People are telling them that they don't even exist. So please check us out. Also, if you can, go to victoryfund.org. We are backing a lot of wonderful LGBTQ candidates across this country. And as I said before, part of being in that umbrella means that sometimes political machines will not back you because they don't think you are a part of the community. And when I ran for state rep, when I ran to become, and I did become the first openly LGBTQ political chair in the state of Illinois, Victory Fund was there to back me when establishment Democrats weren't, because they saw potential. So please go to victoryfund.org and check out youth-outlook.org. Thank you for tuning in. Continue to tune in. Tomorrow's going to be another great show. And take care of each other. Now, stay in tune for Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. She's coming up next.
I've tried everything to stand out at work. Donuts, a company coffee blend, even dressed as the company mascot for Halloween.
There's an easier way, a ComEd facility assessment. Their engineer gave my company free insights and actions that saved us $732,000 on energy. Easy, right?
Learn how ComEd can help you save at ComEd.com/facility assessment. ComEd, powering lives. Savings will vary based on customers' usage and rate.
In 1776, we defied a corrupt king, and the America we love was born from that defiance.